Amrabat will come and pick the ball up. If Amrabat's there, he'll be the first phase player. It won't be Cass. He'll come and he'll pick it up.
You think both will start?
In the big games, 100%.
Yeah, but when we say big games, like what we're talking,
in the
4,
big
5, 6 a season?
Yeah. And, bro, the other games, Mount has to be the first phase player to come and pick up the ball. He has to be. He has to be. Because it can't be Bruno. Bruno can't turn to save his life. So, Mount in that 8 as the first phase player to pick up the ball, that's probably what we're going to see. Unless you've got a real specialist number 6 that, like you said, can receive the ball as a number 6 and start attacks on the half turn. And come on, there's not many of them in world football right now that can sit, break up play, receive the ball off defenders, and they're as competent on the ball as off the ball. Like, there's not many of them. Because to get the best out of Amrabat, he needs to have the freedom to carry the ball forward. Do you understand? So if he doesn't have that, because Bruno's not disciplined enough to sit when Amrabat goes, and neither is Mount. And that could leave us very vulnerable. Do you understand? So that's why I can't see it. Like someone said, and I completely agree with the Musa Dembele comparisons. Very similar players, yeah, in terms of what they do on the ball. And guess what? Dembele had Wanyama next to him, who just broke up the play and didn't go. I mean, Casemiro ain't got the legs like that no more. He's an older guy. When Cass was 25, he was running man down and doing that. He's not going to do that now. Do you see what I'm saying? So I feel like they would complement each other with Amrabat in the 8 and Cass sitting more. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think Amrabat's just got more legs, innit? He's got more legs for sure. But I think in terms of reading the game, Casemiro's reading of the game is so underrated, bruv. Like, also in attacking sense as well. His line breaking passes are very good as well. In transition, a lot of the time, he's the one playing that ball out into the wing.
You know what it is? I agree. Like, as in the Casemiro you're talking about is probably the Casemiro that I saw up until maybe Feb. Bro, I'll be real. After that, and by the way, he has not looked good at all in pre-season, yeah. But it's with Casemiro, like, especially after compare him to Amrabat, yeah. Like, I still stand by. I feel like second half of the season, I think in the bigger games, you will probably see both of them. But I wouldn't be surprised if in like against the relatively smaller opposition, where Man United want to be a bit more expansive and a bit more offensive, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Amrabat over Casemiro. Now, that's if Amrabat turns out to be what I think he is. Like, he might turn out to be a dud, and next thing you know, we're sitting down ripping into him. But Amrabat looks better in possession. I feel like out of possession physically, he looks better than Casemiro. Of course, Casemiro's got the whole reading of the game, the experience, the leadership, and this and that. Bro, I'll be real. Like, Casemiro being our first phase player that has to progress the ball at times, like especially if the centre halves can't do it because they're marked, and the only person that makes himself available is Casemiro. Casemiro on like the half turn or like evading pressure, he ain't it. Like,
but that's never been his job. Look at him at Real Madrid. Modric and Cruz are the first phase players. They bypass Casemiro all the time. All the time.
That's true. Like 100%.
But Amrabat will come and pick the ball up. If Amrabat's there, he'll be the first phase player. It won't be Cass. He'll come and he'll pick it up.
You think both will start?
In the big games, 100%.
Yeah, but when we say big games, like what we're talking?
In the big
5, 6 a season.
Yeah. And bro, the other games, Mount has to be the first phase player to come and pick up the ball. He has to be. He has to be. Because it can't be Bruno. Bruno can't turn to save his life. So Mount in that 8 as the first phase player to pick up the ball, that's probably what we're going to see.
Amrabat out of possession is still very good. Like, as in, he breaks play, he gets involved, he's aggressive. Eventually, wouldn't you rather your single pivot be the ball progressor, and then you've got your two interiors more advanced, rather than you've got one of your interiors now beginning to drop deep? So I feel like it's just going to be a way to get... With Amrabat, you can squeeze in an extra midfielder, if you know what I mean. But if you play Amrabat and Casemiro, you're taking away one midfielder. And I feel like the smaller teams, that extra midfielder will help us a lot. And that's why I think Amrabat would start. But against the bigger teams, where, let's be real, United are just going to surrender possession, then we do need Amrabat and Casemiro. And I reckon either Mount or Bruno would go out wide.
I understand. Yeah, I think so. The only thing I say though, bro, like because like you said, Amrabat, because of his ball carrying abilities, yeah. If you play him in the 6 with Bruno and Mount, you negate that because to get the best out of Amrabat, he needs to have the freedom to carry the ball forward.
Mm.
Do you understand? So if he doesn't have that, because Bruno's not disciplined enough to sit when Amrabat goes, and neither is Mount, and that could leave us very vulnerable. Do you understand? So that's why I can't see it. Like someone said, and I completely agree with the Musa Dembele comparisons. Very similar players, yeah, in terms of what they do on the ball. And guess what? Dembele had Wanyama next to him, who just broke up the play and didn't go. And that's what Cass does.
I agree with that. That's if we were gonna do like a whole 4-2-3-1 with a double pivot. But I'll be
But
real,
I
like the
think
way we do
naturally
it.
it will end up like that anyway.
Yeah, but I just feel like when we've got like a fullback that's inverted, that's going to be the cover for Amrabat to go. Or even like Leach has been stepping into midfield. So I feel like the cover is there. It's just like the whole Amrabat and Wanyama thing, you know, like back then, man, they've never done the whole like inverted players switching positions where like they cover for one another. It was just
They
the
just
same
went.
position.
Yeah.
Sorry?
They just went, bruv. Like it's just like back in the day. Man, think Roy Keane was a DM, blood. Roy Keane was a box-to-box midfielder, bro. Like he played in the 2, one went, one stayed, blood. Roy Keane never sat. He never sat, bro. Roy Keane used to get forward and score goals. Like people are remembering older Roy Keane, yeah, like with the skinhead towards the end of his career, bruv. Young Roy Keane was getting in the box and scoring goals. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like, and that was in a 2-man midfield. So this whole thing about a man playing in a 6 and that, bro, when you've got good players that understand the game, one will go and one will just sit. They'll just know. They will understand that. Do you know what I'm saying? So, like the Dembele Wanyama thing was wavy. It worked because you had 2 players that understood. And I believe, yeah, if you got someone like Cass will understand when to go and when to stay. The problem is with Mount and Bruno that I'm seeing at the moment is they both want to go. And it leaves a lot of space for Casemiro to get isolated in midfield.
That I agree with, innit? Yeah, and I'll be with that. That's always going to come down to Ten Hag, like just teaching them or just letting them know, yeah, when one goes, the other one sits, or what time or what period of a game where maybe both of them can go, or if anything, both of them don't go. But because you're going to have 2 players that have the urgency to constantly go, that's why it edges me more to Amrabat maybe benching a Casemiro, because Amrabat has the legs to cover that ground. Yeah. Casemiro, to be fair, physically, maybe I am being a bit harsh on him. Yeah, like physically, he is still relatively decent. But I just feel like eventually we're going to reach a period where we're going to start looking at that lone pivot and being like, sweet, we've got 2 Donnies that offer us a lot defensively. But now I need more. Like, fair enough, both of you tick the defensive boxes. But now I need ball progression. Now I need ball carrying. Now I need a player that, I'll be real, Amrabat, from what I saw at Morocco, like, he can dictate the tempo of games when he wants to, if he's got license to. Yeah. Casemiro, I wouldn't say that. Like, Casemiro shined when he had Kroos or Modric, who specialized in that, whilst he just specialized in breaking play and giving them the ball.
I'm saying, like, he's a player
that would make the Mount side is so much better, Rants.
He's a player that I rate, innit? He's a player that I rate. Do you know what I'm saying? That's that kind of footballer. That's a bit of my kind of football there if he comes in. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they're saying he's Dutch Moroccan and that, but bro, he's cold, isn't he? He's cold.
He played for Ten Hag, I think. Like,
yeah, he did.
Yeah,
blood.
he played for Ten Hag at Utrecht.
Yeah, the usual story, innit? Played for Ten Hag somewhere, blood.
He played for all the Holland youth teams, and he switched allegiances just as he was about to play for the first team, and he chose for Morocco, innit? So,
you know, he's a physical specimen. He runs, but also that Fiorentina coach where he plays at in Italy, I think they're in the top 3 possession-based teams in Serie A. He can keep the ball ticking over. He actually plays football. He's not just a physical Moroccan specimen that people think. He can actually keep the ball ticking over. It's physical. And when Casemiro is not there, I'm not here messaging Aaron at 6:30 before the team. He's waiting for McTominay to pop up. I don't want that anymore. I don't want that anymore. You know what I'm saying, man? I'm
real
past
talk,
it
man.
now. If you want to be where you are in terms of finishing 3rd, and then people call it progress, and you want to be competing for the Champions League or competing for the Premier League, which is what Ten Hag's here to do, I'm sorry, you need a proper squad. You need depth. And that's what Liverpool are doing with their midfield right now. And if we want to have a serious season next year, we can't just say Mount's the cherry on the bakewell. We need the actual bakewell, and Amrabat is more that, man.
Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Get both.
100%.
Yeah, I've said all along that we can't. I don't want to turn on my TV next season.
If we get both, that adds the balance, and then they become greater than the sum of the two parts, innit? Because of what one gives and what the other doesn't give. Then all of a sudden, you put them together, the combination of the two of them becomes something that changes the dynamic of our midfield. But Mount on his own doesn't do that.
Nah.